right-wing commentator Candace Owens went on Joe Rogan's podcast. I wanted to show you a few parts of her talk with Joe Rogan because she botches some basic facts, and I think this says a lot about Candace Owens and who she is and what she does.
But I don't understand how you think that we're almost losing America, and there's a battle for America.
Like, I really feel that, like, just in every regard, in terms of just the people that were running, like Hillary Clinton. Like, this woman was a globalist. Like, just think about who we were in bed with, like Saudi Arabia, selling all of our uranium to Russia. Like Trump came in and was like, no, like America, people, we were the gap, like we're losing the middle class. The gap between the rich and the poor was like literally.
And what do you think is causing that?
Policies, shipping all of our jobs overseas, the regulation, the government getting bigger and bigger. You can't do anything as an entrepreneur in America without a piece of paper from the government, discouraging people with this piece of paper, like shutting down the factories, forgetting that there's something, there's a little land between New York and LA, believe it or not, and this is what Trump understood. We were losing that. And Trump appealed to those people. I'm still floored. Like, as I'm traveling the world and seeing different pieces of the country, I'm learning how ignorant I was.
That's a weird, it's not how ignorant you were, it's how ignorant you are. Now, I'm going to try to not be a dick in this segment as I break down the areas where she's just factually incorrect, but bear with me if I have an issue. So, first she argues that, look who we were in bed with. Saudi Arabia. I mean, look at Hillary's connection with Saudi Arabia. Now, I've criticized Hillary Clinton for her connection with Saudi Arabia. I've criticized Hillary Clinton for the Clinton Foundation and the open corruption that is. But here's where Candace Owens is either massively, massively ignorant on this topic, or she's flat out lying to you. It's not that we were in bed with Saudi Arabia. We still are in bed with Saudi Arabia. And in fact, the bulk of the evidence points to the fact that we've never been closer with them than we are right this second. Donald Trump did over a $100 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. So for her to frame it as, oh, we were in bed with them and then Trump came in and put a stop to all of that, that's just objectively, empirically incorrect. It's just wrong. You're just factually wrong. So she's working backwards from her conclusion being Trump is awesome. Okay, then really curious argument in the middle there because she talks about losing the middle class. Now, nobody's stronger on fighting for the middle class than me. I have a track record of it. I've done it from the minute this show started. That's probably the bulk of what I talk about. But the idea that Donald Trump put a stop to the war on the middle class, are you kidding me? He exacerbated it. Just look at the facts of his tax bill. 83% of the benefits of the tax bill go to the top 1% in the country. Did you know that under Trump's tax bill, it raises taxes on everybody in the country making $75,000 a year or less over a 10-year period? So he has exacerbated this war on the middle class. It's not like Trump got in there and all of a sudden income inequality reversed and now, we're looking at a relatively acceptable distribution of wealth between the rich and working families. That's just factually not true. It's gone in the other direction. We have higher income inequality now than we ever had. So it's weird that you're framing it like, oh, you care about the middle class. Oh, you do. You care about the middle class. That's what you're saying. That's what you're implying here. So why wouldn't you be for Bernie Sanders if you care about the middle class? But then, okay, then the next part, this part really pissed me off too, because she harkens back to Donald Trump on the campaign trail, and she says, well, listen, we're shipping all these jobs overseas. So, Trump came in, he put a stop to all that. That's what she's implying heavily, if not flat out saying. Candace, if you look at the numbers, in Donald Trump's first year as president, 93,000 jobs were outsourced. 93,000. So not only did he not reverse the trend of outsourcing American jobs, he exacerbated it because Obama's last year in office, he outsourced 87,000. So now I'm not defending Obama for outsourcing 87,000 because I'm not a partisan hack. What I'm saying is it's shitty when Obama outsources 87,000 jobs. It's shitty when Trump outsources 93,000 jobs. And yes, their policies lead to that result. They can try to stop that. They're not trying to stop that. Even the whole tap dance that, Donald Trump did with the Carrier factory. I'm saving the jobs from Carrier. A year later, articles were coming out about how all those workers felt duped because a few months later, they started outsourcing those jobs that they just pretended they saved. So it was all a fucking photo op. It was, oh, yes, I'm saving them. They gave them a bunch of taxpayer dollars, a giant subsidy, and then they outsourced the jobs anyway when nobody was looking. So it's a ruse. It's a ruse. He's outsourcing more jobs. And then finally, she references deregulation as like, oh, something to help the middle class here, deregulation. Help them? What are you talking about? Deregulation, the whole point of deregulation is to help Wall Street. That's the whole point. And by the way, historically, whenever we've had deregulation and cutting taxes for the rich, the result has always been what's called a boom-bust cycle. So namely, you deregulate for guys on Wall Street, you cut taxes for the rich, and then all of a sudden, the stock market took off. Oh my goodness, look, everybody's doing so well. And by the way, stock market's not a good metric of how everybody's doing. Oh my God, the good times are never going to end. And then what happens? A crash. That's the burst. Boom, burst, or boom, bust cycles. So it happened in the roaring 20s. Remember that? The roaring 20s, people thought the good times were never going to stop. Oh my God, the market's soaring. And then we had what? The Great Depression in 1929. That's what deregulation brings you. Look under Ronald Reagan. He's often hailed as, oh, what a great economic president. When he left office, he deregulated and cut taxes. When he left office, what happened? A giant recession. Now, under Bill Clinton, because he's a neoliberal, he also deregulated. But then George W. Bush put that into overdrive. And then what happened in 2008? The subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. So deregulation is nothing but a giveaway to the rich. That's all it is. It's saying, hey, we're going to get rid of these leveraging rules, for example. So you're just making it so that they could take on more risk. That's not good for the middle class. That's fucking nothing to do with the middle class. It hurts the middle class in the long run. I mean, what they're deregulating, it's Dodd-Frank, for example. I mean, they're getting rid of the Volcker rule. The idea that when you put your money in a bank, that they don't do casino capitalist bets with that money. It's supposed to be investment banking is separate from commercial banking. So when you go to the bank and put your money in, it's okay. They're not going to do anything crazy with it. Well, they got rid of those rules. So now you put your money in your local bank and they're doing derivatives bets on it, totally unregulated. And eventually, as any gambler knows, you bet long enough on something risky, eventually it's going to blow up. That's where the economy is right now. Guys, listen, point blank, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Which is why it's perfect that Kanye West is propping her up and acting like, I love the way she thinks. Just because she can form a coherent sentence and she can sound convincing with her tone of voice and she can sound authoritative doesn't mean that she's actually being factually accurate in her points. And that's the main argument here is just that little snippet right there says a lot about who Candace Owens is and what she does. She works backwards from her conclusion. And her conclusion is the right is correct, Republicans are awesome, and Donald Trump is the man. That's their position summed up. So they're not intellectually consistent. They don't have principles. That's the whole reason for what they do.